Relative Pitch Summer Spotlight Series. We are joined today with the amazing, fabulous Kevin Day. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We joke about being booked and busy, but oh my gosh, this is the actual definition of being busy. Kevin, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing much better now. I've officially kind of settled, like here in Miami, but for the past month and a half, it's been just insane, absolutely insane. I feel like I'm that. There's like a meme where it's like a dog who's in the kitchen and like everything's on fire around him, and he's just sitting there, just like everything's fine. Like that. That's been my life for the last like 2 months. It's been wild. So yeah.
And you've had to move. First of all, congratulations on now you're at University of Miami getting your doctorate degree. You're going to be Dr. Day.
Doctor.
Right, respect on the name. Respect on the name. So, first, tell us your experience at UGA and now going to Miami. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my last semester at UGA went very well, and had a lot of different concerts. I was teaching as well, and I was also trying to figure out where I was going to end up going for my doctoral program. And so after making that choice and everything, and after graduating, I just got to enjoy being in Athens for a few weeks and not being very busy. And then that's kind of when things got crazy, is like the beginning of June is when like a lot began to happen. I had a recording session for 2 days that I had to do in Atlanta, because I play jazz piano for this group called the Steve Terry Project. So we recorded a full record over the span of 2 days. Basically 10-hour sessions for both of those days. Had a few breaks in there, but I did that. Before I did that, I was in Virginia. I had a premiere in Richmond with the Chamber Music Society of Central Virginia for a few days. So I was up there, then went to Atlanta, then had to move right after that. So before, so I'm trying to put all this into perspective. Before I left for any of that, I had to pack, clean, and everything, my entire apartment to move. I left everything in my car, parked at the airport. And so basically I went to Richmond, did that, came back, drove to Atlanta, did the recording session, everything's still in the car. And the next day I got up, began the drive from Atlanta to Miami, Florida, did that over 2 days, and I finally made it here. So that was crazy in itself. And then while all that was happening, that's also when I heard about my grandmother passing. So, which was something very unexpected, and just had to plan for that as well. Go to do that, go to be at the funeral, and everything, and then just came back from Texas for the 4th weekend, where I had a premiere with the Fort Worth Symphony, and now I'm finally home. So it's just like it's been this like here, there, back and forth, left and right. Like, it's been insane. So I'm glad now I get a little bit of a break before my next adventure happens, and before school begins in August. So
I have a question. So for our maybe audience members who may not understand exactly what goes into a doctoral or a doctorate in like arts specifically, like are you going for composition?
Yes.
So tell us, like, especially for people who may not understand exactly our field and how that works, like what are you expecting to gain out of going to get your doctorate in composition?
So it's really supposed to help me to refine my compositional technique, as well as also give me teaching experience and help me to be a better teacher, because that's ultimately what I want to do, is to hopefully get a gig as a university professor one day in composition or theory or both or something like that. So I'm taking courses that are going to help me with teaching, that are going to help me to improve on my my music theory, my music history, like all of that. And so basically I'm taking courses in that, but it's not a whole lot of classes. It's actually 10 hours, which is like super small. But I have to do a dissertation, and I have to write a piece basically of like, I think half an hour to 45 minutes of music. It can be any kind of instrumentation. And then I have to defend that dissertation in order to qualify to be a candidate to receive the DMA. So it's a long process, and I'm already preparing now kind of what that's going to look like and what my dissertation is going to be and all this other stuff. So I'm thinking about all this while everything else in my life professionally is happening and everything. So luckily, though, there's no rush. Like, I'm going to be here in Miami for 4 years, and so that'll give me enough time to do all of this. So by the time I'm 29, basically I'll have hopefully I'll be graduating with my doctorate in composition.
Under 30 club.
Under 30. But also you said something. You was like an hour, 45 to an hour of your music. Don't you already got that?
Right.
Like, don't you already have like
No, I'm not that.
Right.
The longest piece So the longest piece I've written is the Concerto for Wind Ensemble, and that's about 25 minutes of music. So it's going even beyond that piece. So I actually haven't written a piece that long. So it's about planning and mapping and all that stuff. And kind of what I have in mind is it's actually going to be a choral symphony composition. I'm writing a piece for choir and orchestra, and I'll have more details about that hopefully in the next year. But that's kind of where my head is as far as what I want to do for that.
I'm here for that.
Yeah,
we might have to take a trip down to Miami.
I
I'm always ready
said,
to go to Miami.
it's 3 hours. It's 3 hours from me.
Y'all are all more than welcome to come down here. Yes,
I will. Okay.
I want to say congratulations, and I loved your brass quintet piece.
Thank you.
I watched it, and I
Thank
said,
you.
this man really likes to compose fast, like this. And then Enigma, you wrote for Dr. Jen Fox Oliverio. I was like, these tempos are a little bit above my fingers, but I love it.
So talking about tempos, it's crazy because I write tempos that are like, I don't know why I do this. Like, I write tempos higher than I know it's going to sound. Just because I grew up like in Texas and like marching band, we marched at like 172, 168, 184. Like tempo is way up there. So It's just like, so I realized though when I hear my pieces played, I'm just like, I know not everyone's gonna take it that tempo. It's probably gonna be a little bit under, and I've just gotten comfortable with that. But in my head, I always hear things a lot quicker in terms of time for some reason. So
yeah.
So,
speaking about, because you talked about how for your DMA you're going to actually have to compose a piece. Are you already doing a lot of commissions and everything right now? Because going like having you as a friend on Facebook is crazy. First of all, because every day it gets put up there. So, like, tell us. I've been seeing so many premieres of your works that have been happening, and just so many performances and all these commissions. So tell us about like all the major things that have been happening within the past year for you.
Oh yeah, I mean the past year has been just unbelievable in terms of just all the opportunities and all the things that have been happening. I've had works performed by major symphony orchestras, which is a thing that I really didn't ever see happening in my life, and to see that kind of happen where it's like, okay, the Boston Symphony did a piece, and then Detroit, and then Tulsa, and then Fort Worth, and there's so many more that are even happening that are scheduled to happen in a few years from now. It's just, that's a world I didn't think I would really break into, and so now I think because of these other performances that have happened, that's opening up those kinds of opportunities as well. For the wind band world, it's been a lot of like small chamber pieces and the Concerto for Wind Ensemble and all of that, and so getting the support now from like many directors to write these pieces, I mean, that's been a blessing too. And so it's honestly, it looked like I try not to share too much. I feel like sometimes when I post like something, I'm like, okay, maybe I should wait a few days before I share. Because I have lists and lists and lists of things that I could share, but I'm just like, okay, maybe I'm trying to be strategic about how I do that, just because it's just so it's not constant. Like this is happening, and this is happening. So I'm trying to learn that, and I think that's the hard part about like social media is just like I don't want to share too much, but also I don't want to share too little. Like nothing's going on. So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out is like how to like find a balance in that.
I honestly I love seeing friends, colleagues, people who I've met along the way of my journey. I love seeing their accomplishments. So for me, all I'm seeing is like, oh my gosh, like Kev, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Like every day it's just like, oh my gosh, but it's amazing because first of all,
it is.
And so it's never a problem if we know how your music and your work speaks for itself. And obviously all these other people in these programs and symphony orchestras are seeing that as well. I will never get tired of it.
This is true.
Never get tired of it.
True. We've officially become part of your fan club.
Yes.
So we are always saying Kevin Day, Kevin Day, Kevin Day.
Seriously.
And so like we are presenting at GMA next year, and your name is gonna come up.
Oh my gosh.
In this session of like, these are the composers you need to be playing in your ensembles.
Yes.
And so we just love what you are doing. Now, what drove you to Miami? I know I'm pretty sure you had so many people like, come to my school, come do composition. What was, about Miami that you was like, I want to go here?
So it initially wasn't a place that I was like, that was on my radar at first. But I had known about the school for a while, and then I also had some connections there through one of my mentors, who's a wonderful composer as well, Valerie Coleman. I mean, she had been putting this like thing in my ear, like, oh, you should come to Miami. You should come to Miami. I'm like, we'll see. I'm looking at options. So she's been putting this in my head for a while. And when it came time to apply, I, being like the nervous, anxious wreck that I can be sometimes, I applied for everything like months in advance. I applied for every school in like October, like early October, because I'm like, I'm getting on the ball now. I'm not dealing with the stress. Because when I applied for my master's, I waited until the last possible minute to apply, and I was a wreck. So so I feel that, but I didn't apply to Frost initially because they used to require the GRE test for the Frost school, and so because of my schedule, I didn't. I couldn't take the GRE. So I talked to Valerie and I was like, so do y'all still require that? And she actually told me like, no, like we're not requiring it this year because of COVID. You should really apply. So I was like, okay. So I got my application in and then went through the process of interviewing at all these places and then all that. And what drew me to Miami, I think, is one, with me being a jazz piano player as well as a composer, I wanted to be in a place where I could really do both well, and I could really plug into the jazz community as well as into the composition, new music world there too. And I also wanted to move to a major city because I've never lived in a major city before. So Miami seemed like a really great choice, and I also have some wonderful colleagues who already teach there, who already went to school there, and just from what I was told, it just seemed like a really open-minded place with a lot of opportunities, with a lot of great things happening. So it was a difficult choice. I had some really great schools on the radar, but ultimately I think Miami was the best choice for me to make.
Nice. You're gonna love Miami. I'm pretty sure you're already enjoying Miami.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. It is honestly one of my favorite places in the world to visit. So
yeah.
I will, like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it till I show up at your door. I'm gonna be there.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna be there.
I'm gonna catch a flight.
Catch a flight. Come on. Come on.
Like, in addition to all those amazing premieres and all the pieces you're writing right now, I think I saw something about a residency program that you got selected for. Is it in Santa Cruz?
Yes. Yeah, so I got selected for the Harasi Residence Artist Program, which is like, I applied to this like in like spring 2019. So and I had heard nothing about this, for like 2 years. So I thought, okay, maybe I didn't get in, was rejected. Okay. So I'd forgotten about it. But I got the acceptance a couple months ago. And then just when I heard about this program, I applied to this residency because it's very much, it deals with like this, bringing in people from other like mediums, whether that's like doctors or artists or, you know, scientists or whatever, bringing all these people together to create these works of art and bringing their expertise to that particular place. And so I was like, okay, this sounds really cool. I could collaborate with like people in film, I collaborate with dancers or whatever. I mean, so it's a really nice residency in California in the mountains. It's kind of off the grid. And I've wanted to do something like that for a while because I had another experience like that with the Gabriella Lena Frank Creative Academy, where I got off the grid for like a few days, and honestly changed my life because I got to unplug from everything. I wasn't getting emails and calls and all this other stuff. Like my life was just like, I'm here at this place, I'm composing, I'm learning, I'm enjoying the scenery. I get to go see some deer once in a while. I'd never seen a deer before, and I was like, man, what is that? Like, I saw one coming out the front, and I looked at that, and I was like, we don't got those in Texas. So I was just, I was loving it. So yeah, I'm really excited to get to do this residency next year. And it'll also be good just to disconnect from everything because I know, like, currently my schedule is pretty much filling up for this next school year. I'm going to be traveling a lot more, getting back out there. So it'll be nice to have this time, you know, away from everything once the school year's over to be able to just to relax, to compose, to collaborate. So.
So with your busy schedule, amazingly busy, awesome. Is there downtime you're putting for yourself to be like, you know, I love all of you, but I'm gonna need me at least 30 minutes of me time.
Yeah.
Like, how do you
Yes.
balance your schedule and your school schedule, composing schedule, jazz piano schedule, and your self schedule?
Yeah, it's a work in progress. I am learning like to take some time like each day just to, you know, to disconnect from everything. I think what helps me is just to turn my phone off. So like a lot of times at night I'll just turn it off and I won't deal with Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I'll just turn it off for the night. I'll turn off the notifications on my iPad or whatever can make noise to tell me that someone's trying to reach out to me. I'll just be like, okay, turn off. See you tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And so I try to do that every night. Give myself maybe like 2 or 3 hours where I can read, where I can meditate, where I can you know, play video games or whatever. I mean, just having that time away from everything. And so that's been helping me a lot. I just need to be more consistent with it because I'm also like a night owl. So like I love writing at nighttime too. So it's everything about my life has become this like how to balance equation kind of thing. How do I do this? And so it's a work in progress, I think.
So what do you do for fun?
Oh, I love to swim. I love to go to clubs. I love to hang with friends. I love to play video games. I read. I know how to ride bikes. I need to get a bike. You know, give me some exercise, some cardio. That'd be nice. But just like things like that. Like I love that kind of those kinds of things, and as well as just like hanging out with people I care about. When I went home to Texas this past week, I got to see some old friends and see my family and everything, and so that was good. Just to be able to just reconnect with some people I haven't seen in a while. So
yeah,
all that.
Also, you getting this bike in Miami, just be ready to sweat your behind off. I don't know if the part in Texas you're from, because I was just in Austin a couple weeks ago, and I walked outside and I'm sweating. Literally didn't move. But Miami is the same way, and
just more human, right? Yeah.
Invest in one of those little portable fans,
The Mister.
because that's
yes.
what you need.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's too much. Lord.
It just sounds
Yeah.
you've had so much, so many accomplishments, like just within this past year. Did you expect, you know, from COVID for all these things? Do you think COVID had any effect on all the situations that you've been in? Do you think it would have been different if we weren't in the situations that we were in?
You know, I'm not too sure. I think what I can say is like COVID had an effect on I think just my production, because normally I do write quickly, but with COVID, when we were under lockdowns last year, I was unmotivated to do anything for a while, and then I would write a piece and be like, okay, I think I got it, and then like, nope, we're back down down in the dumps again, and so I was dealing with this roller coaster of like, super like highly productive moments, and then like moments where I was like depressed and just like nah, and everything kind of is bad right now, and also so like that was me, just roller coasters of emotions. I feel like last year, but with all the opportunities, I'm just grateful that I had opportunities to be able to still compose and to be able to write for people, even given the COVID situation. So it was really a blessing.
Yeah. That's amazing. And for me, because none of us are. I think we've all maybe arranged something at some time.
You don't want me to compose.
Actually, I compose.
Yeah, no original thought in.
Right, no original thought. Now I will get your piece and do all the things, but child,
I'll put some twinkle twinkle with some jazz chords.
Yeah. So like
that's hip. That's hip.
None of us have that composition bone in our body, and so like it's always interesting to me to talk to composers because I'm thinking creative because it always is kind of like, oh, it feels like that would be a fun process, but I know it's challenging whenever you're going and you're starting from scratch and you're like, okay, what do I want to write, like what do I want to express, how do I want to express it? And so for like someone who, again, for maybe audience members who are not maybe even aware that composition was truly a whole route to go through for music, what's your process in trying to create new music, and just give us like an insight to how that usually goes for you?
Yeah, so I think what helps me is like I'm listening to music about 90% of the time. I'm listening to music all of the time, whether that's classical, jazz, rap, pop, whatever. Like I'm listening to all sorts of things, and because I'm trying to make sure I like stay in tune with what's happening with the kind of music that's happening now. And I guess that in turn, just through osmosis, that really helps me to sort of get new ideas for what I want to do. And so, we talked about in the last podcast, like my influences and all of the music that I grew up on, and all the music I still listen to now. And it's just I try to stay as informed as possible. And then when it comes to the actual process, like I hear things in full score. So if I get an idea for something, I already know what instruments it's going to be for, what it looks like, what it sounds like. So my process is just getting it onto the page as quickly as possible, and then sort of through composing the whole thing, like basically composing and thinking about what I'm composing as I'm going left to right, up and down. That's basically been my process, except it's really fast. So, and then once I do that, then I go back and say, okay, how can I revise it? How can I change it? What are some things? Can I better like communicate what I want to say maybe in another way than what I previously written? So that's kind of what my process is. It's like I'm listening all the time. I write down ideas as much as I can. I'm not the kind of person to sing into a phone and then try to compose, because I will sing something into my phone and then nighttime will come and I'll listen to it and I'll be like, what was the context of this? Like, what? I don't understand what I was thinking. Like, and I'll just be like, this just sounds like me randomly singing into my phone, and then I get mad and then I want to throw my phone against the wall. So
Charlie Puth, Charlie Puth, he does that. Like I've seen him try to create a song and literally his voice memos is nothing but songs. And I was like, can't be me. I'd be like, wrong notes, sliding, everything like that.
Right. Yeah. So yes, I can't do that. But yeah, that's kind of how my process works for that kind of stuff.
And like one thing that you just said, and which I love that you said, staying in tune with what's going on. I think, and that's why your music is really hitting with, the people nowadays, is because it is something familiar, as opposed to some pieces where it's like, well, that was 50 years ago. Oh, we're, sticking to the same things. I love that you said you are staying in tune with what's going on. So who are the people that you're listening to currently, to keep you on it?
Yeah, so I mean, if I had to go in like my Spotify playlist, like I've been like the past few things I've been listening to. I've been listening to a lot of Tyler the Creator, a lot of Olivia Rodrigo, a lot of J. Cole, and then on the indie side, I'm listening to like the Paper Kites and S. Carey and like things like that. I also love what is the singer I listen to? Oh yeah, Her. I'm a huge fan of Her. Huge fan of just all sorts of stuff like that. Just kind of remembering Isaiah Rashad, Kendrick Lamar, like all that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of stuff I just listen to just for fun. Yeah. But it does in turn help me to sort of hear what's being written right now and what's being created. So.
I like that. And you write fast. Like, what is the fastest piece you've ever written?
Let's see. Since most, I would say for band pieces, I'll do that. The fastest wind band piece I've written was Dancing Fire, and that was 2 weeks. That was 2 weeks of time. Yeah. Non-band pieces, the quickest I've written things is like 3 days. 3 days. Okay. So.
Right, deadline. Need a piece now. Go.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
I was wondering, you touched on the process with Lauren earlier. What's your process of exploring new colors in different ensembles and out of regular ensembles that we hear every day? It's like pulling out and extracting new colors, different colors to make it work for your pieces.
Awesome question. Yeah, I think for me, I've been exploring recently with like in my recent works, mostly I've always used like octaves whenever I write pieces. I always have like things in octaves, and I think I'm getting better now at not only using octaves, but also using higher, like having like higher like tessitura with instruments with like lowest, like, and sort of playing with these extremes of sound where it's just like you have a piccolo and tuba playing the same crazy line, and then you have like the things you wouldn't like normally put together. I've also been thinking about mutes, using like more things with like brass mutes, having these like swells and things like that, extended techniques just abroad. And then I think I'm just getting better now at like I'm thinking a lot more about how I approach like mixed meter passages. Like if I'm going to have like something that's like 3/4 to 7/8 to 7/16 to 4/4, like some crazy thing like that, I'm getting better at creating a through line to where you can't even tell what's happening, but it all sounds like it's together. So I feel like I'm grasping mixed meter changes and all that. So that's just a little bit of kind of what I've been exploring.
I'm here for that.
Yeah. So like we're in I think we're coming out of a post-transitionatory era, I think, for the world. A lot of times we see in, I think, not even just music, like history and politics specifically, but just like world history and politics, that after major things like what we just went through happen, there's a lot of art that comes from that, because I think art truly does reflect the times that we're in. It reflects things that have gone on, even in tragedy and unfortunate situations. So do we expect like a surge of art to come out of this era? I mean, I'm already seeing it. Like I'm already seeing so much being from this time, and like, so for you within your field, are you currently seeing that, and what do you expect to see now that we are at this point?
Yeah, I've definitely been seeing it, and I've also written a few pieces that have had to deal with the events of the last year and a half or so, and yeah, like in my field, I mean, compositions. Yeah, there's a lot of compositions being written about this time we're in right now, and like you said, I mean, as I feel like as artists, we do reflect what's happening, while we're living through it, and that whatever we're living through definitely has an effect on what we create as artists. And so definitely that happened to me, when I was writing More Than Words and the Requiem for the Unarmed, dealing with the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor situation as well, and even my, this choral symphony piece that's going to touch on a topic that is going to be, a bit more personal to me and, this time we're in right now as well. So I just feel like, yeah, like as artists, what we create is definitely like has to do with, I think, what's happening. And in turn, I just hope these pieces that are being written, give comfort to the artist or give comfort to the listener in some way, or even just makes them like question or like ask questions about kind of what's happening and how can we address this.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I love that.
I do. I really. And just to touch on some of that, when you write these pieces, do you have like a team where you're like, hey, can you sing this for me? Can you play this for me? Because I know, especially with the piece that you're writing now, you are really experiencing, choral works. Two questions. Have you already like worked with choirs before?
Yeah. Yes,
Oh,
I have.
okay.
So I have a couple of choral works that have been recorded, and one was written for my now partner, and I wrote that piece whenever we were. Well, that was 2015, and so yeah, so I've written for choir, but I haven't really gone back to it, and it's a thing I've missed because before I was in band or any of that stuff, or even playing as a jazz pianist, I was a choral student. I was singing as a kid, kindergarten through sixth grade. I was in choir, so I feel like I've always had this like pulling and this love for choral music, that comes from my childhood. But as far as for like the team of people to help me, yes, I have a lot of people that I'd like to reach out to. Like depending on what the piece is, I'll call a friend and be like, okay, hey, what do you think of this? Or can you try this? And it's very cool to be able to have a support network of people that I know I can trust and I can reach out to for ideas, and they give me very honest feedback about sort of what that piece is or what it entails.
Nice. I love that. I cannot wait to hear
Yes, I know.
this new piece. And I know you the Windborn piece I've seen on the Facebook and everything. Yes, the Facebook. We've gotten to that. So tell us about that piece. I know it's a big consortium piece.
Yeah, so Windborn is going to be my fifth concerto, and I'm collaborating with a horn player by the name of Stephen Cohen, and we've been friends for a few years. And this has been in the works for a while. It just recently kind of took off once we pulled in a couple of groups to be able to lead this whole consortium. But I've actually written a movement of this piece. I wrote movement one last year, and just I haven't touched the piece since last year. But when we initially talked about this, I already began writing it and had the concept in mind. And so basically I just have to write movements 2 and 3, and which will hopefully be done pretty soon. And then it's going to premiere next year. But it's going to deal with basically, there's a relative in my family on my mom's side that used to be an aerospace engineer and a stress analyst for a major airline company back in the 1950s to 1990s, which is like a thing we recently discovered about our family. And me being like, I originally wanted to be an aerospace engineer at one point in my life, but I kind of chose music as my path. I feel like that's a story in like our in our family that hasn't been told. And so I'm just really excited that this is kind of the medium where I do get to tell this this kind of story, which is going to be really cool. And so it's a horn concerto with wind ensemble, and I think by this point I've almost done all the brass instruments as far as concerto, because there's euphonium, tuba, euphonium, tuba, wind ensemble, horn, trombones coming. So we're almost through it all. Oh yeah, trumpet. Yeah. So pretty much. So I'm very excited about this piece. I hope it's well received next year, and we'll see how it all goes.
It's going to be fantastic. Just like everything else that you do is fantastic. You are a just wonderful person. We love talking with you.
Yeah.
We hopefully will get to see you in person. I know we said that the last time.
Did he just change location?
Right, then he changed location because we were in Athens last week and we were
ready.
There. And so, you know what? If you come to Miami, you better be there.
He gonna be.
Please.
Right. He's gonna be in LA booked again. Right. So I'm just saying,
LA.
when we found it's gonna be fantastic.
We're gonna tear down a city.
Tear it down. Tear it down.
Yes, I would love to hang. Y'all are amazing, and it's always a thrill to talk to y'all. And congrats once again on the GMEA conference presentation. That is super exciting. And if I can, I'll see if maybe I can be there. We'll see. I gotta check and see.
Come on, we would love it. So, but thank you so much, and it's been a pleasure talking with you.
And let the audience know where they can follow you and everything, so
Absolutely.
they can continue on your journey with you.
Sure thing. So yes, you can go to my website. It's KevinDayMusic@gmail. Oh no, that's my email. KevinDayMusic.com is my website. KevinDayMusic@gmail.com is my email address. You can just go to Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. At Kevin Day Music is the whatever it's called, the nameplate for the thing. Yeah, just reach out to me. It's at Kevin Day Music, and yes, I'd love to connect. So.
And he responds too.
He does. That's important.
He responds. No shade.
Yes. I try to respond.
So he's a little booked and busy for the next couple of years, but
2025.
2025. It's been great. Thank you. And to our audience, I hope you enjoy our last Summer Spotlight series of the summer.
A great way to end it.
Great way to end it. We'll be back for season 2. Stay tuned for more announcements on that. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.